Good afternoon and welcome back, everybody, to episode number 4 in our Oxygen Not Included Redux series. I started out this week with just doing some minor adjustments to things that I had made a little bit of mistakes with. One was my power. So I had 8 manual generators here that my duplicants were running on, and I didn't want to worry about moving them into the base because I thought we would generate enough power to get through the super sustainable achievement before it became an issue. Well, it was becoming an issue. The problem with having them outside the base is that's our only source of power. And so when I had a power dropout, nobody could get out of the base to run any power because the Atmosuit docks didn't have power, so they couldn't go out because they weren't allowed to put on an Atmosuit because there wasn't enough power to do so. So I moved them inside. So you can see we're getting very close to getting rid of those manual generators because we can switch to another power source, but we haven't gotten there yet. But so I moved them from here down to the bottom. I just ran the power out around the outside and the automation through. So that's the power sorted out. The other problem was we were getting duplicants stuck inside the base because the Atmosuits weren't getting repaired. So if we look at our repair Atmosuits, right now we have 0 Atmosuits that need to be repaired, and we're up to 9 reed fiber. What happened was we got to the point where there was 8 of the suits, which is about, I think I have 25 in circulation total. So we're running with a few spots where they couldn't get a repaired suit because we ran out of reed fiber. We were getting reed fiber from up here just in wild spots, but with all the gases settling, they're not running. So I could have fixed this and got rid of the gases, and I will eventually. But for now, I just built a little reed farm. So it's just running off the polluted water from our tank. It's growing some reed fiber for us. The auto sweeper up here will grab any reed fibers that fall if a duplicate doesn't come up to get them and ship them back into the base. And I put in a farm station just because eventually we have to build a farm with a farm station, so I thought, why not do it for a little while, see how it goes. Probably not going to use it for long. Next thing that I'm working on is that I want to try to do a coolant solution for our electrolyzer system that doesn't use a steam turbine. And my thought is that even without steel, I'll be able to keep this cooler than 175 degrees by using the water going into the electrolyzers to pull off the heat. And then I can take the coolant from it and use that to cool down our base. So that since we're pumping in hot oxygen, we're getting very hot in here, and I want to cool that down. So that's what we're working on right now. We're still struggling along that line of food, having more food come in than we're using. We're right there. We have 100 eggs in our system right now. So that means that every cycle we should be getting 5, on average, 5 critters evolving just from the eggs. But it's like right on the edge. So hopefully soon we'll start seeing a net gain of food. We'll just have to keep an eye on it. Right now, every once in a while, we have people popping into starvation before the food gets cooked. Hopefully soon that won't be an issue anymore. We've let some time pass in our base, and we did a few things, but the main goal was to get this super sustainable achievement knocked out, and we've gotten very, very close. We're 9K away from being able to use coal and natural gas and petroleum and wood burners, which is very cool. Things we did in the time while we were waiting for that to happen. We were running really, really close on our food at cycle 260. So what I did is I just queued up 100 of these mush bars, and that gave us enough food to get through. We actually only used about 30K of it. As you can see, we still have almost 70K of it left. But that got us over the hump so that we could start getting a net gain in our barbecue supplies. So now we have 89 plus 24. It's about 113 or hatchling eggs between the two hypes. There's probably a few smooth ones that pop out every once in a while too, but we're right over 110, which means that every cycle on average we get 5.5 hatchlings just from the eggs that hatch and turn into meat. Then we also have ones that are hatched in our incubators that don't have anywhere to go and get thrown in here. So we're definitely in a surplus meat production over the 5 critters being harvested that we need every day for supplying our duplicants just with food from the hatches. So this is set. We still have a decent amount of sedimentary rock to feed them. We are running low on igneous rock, but that's okay. We still have a lot of base to explore to get more rocks. The other thing we did is I revamped the power a little bit, and I used it to set up this little pseudo cooling system that I'm trying to test out. Not sure if it's going to work. I'm trying to do cooling without using a steam turbine. So what I did is I set up a water coming from a steam vent over here, a cool steam vent. So this produces 3970 grams per second of steam that turns into water at 110. It averages down to like 93 once it cools off. But over the course of its time, because of all the numbers, and I'll spare you the math, it means that this geyser will produce 1.4 kilograms of water per second. Our oxygen system uses 333.3 grams per second when it's running average while it's running, and so we're using like 1.3. So we're using less water in here than we're producing over here on average. So we'll end up with a net gain in water here, and all this water is what's going to supply our oxygen. This will end up moving once we get it all designed. So that water comes down through here and slowly goes through this chamber, and so when it comes through at 76 degrees, it picks up some heat and comes back out at 79 and gets eaten up in the electrolyzers. It does increase the temperature of the oxygen a little bit, because 70 degrees is the minimum, so a little bit higher, but it's not much. This loop gets fed through the aqua tuner. That's a gold aqua tuner, which can go up to 175 degrees without any problems. And it only trips on when this sensor goes off. So if this coolant line that goes to the base goes above 25, then we run this. So far, that's about where I can keep it, and it's staying steady. The water in here gets up to about 85 degrees by the time this gets cool enough, and then that line going through, because it's coming through at 76, cools it back down slowly to 76 degrees. And then by the time it gets pretty cool, this trips it back on, and it heats it back up. We can play with that a little bit, maybe get a little bit more coolant out of it, but that's some. And then that coolant line runs around our base, the whole way around a circle with radiant lines. So right now, the wall around our base is very cool. And so the gases around it slowly transfer their heat into the wall, which gets picked up. The other thing is gases coming out go through this gas pipe here. And actually, I want to get rid of these, because I do not want them transferring oxygen out before it cools down. Let's see how that works. But so they counter exchange heat with those lines there. So it cools it down a little bit more, not a lot, but a little bit more. You can see it's right here, it's at 70 degrees. Before it comes out into the base, it's 67 degrees. Get rid of this one too. I had a couple of different lines because I was trying to eliminate carbon dioxide more. We may have to play around with that some more. I may also have these lines that are the line that's coming into the base run through this wall some more. That might be what we end up doing. But the net total is, instead of the oxygen in the base being 70 degrees, it is now cooled down to about 37 degrees in some places. And once we pull out some of these heat generators, it'll probably go down even lower. But we're slowly cooling the base back down. It's not cool enough to grow plants, but it's cool enough to stay nice and comfortable for our duplicants. Our duplicants, their body temperatures, I'm not sure exactly what their ideal body temperature is. Healthy duplicant's body temperature is 37 degrees. Oh. That happens to be pretty ironic, since we are right at 37 degrees in our base in most parts. But so we're cooling this off to get the base to be a little more comfortable for our duplicants. And things are working well there. Once we have our power up and running using systems other than duplicant power, this stuff won't ever get run. That's going to cut off a lot of heat generation inside of our base, because these generate 1,000 DTUs per. We can move our food production over into the facility we build once we come up with our final spot for our hatches, and we'll get rid of the rock crusher once we set up production down in our oil biome, and that'll even cool it down even more, because we're going to be removing all of the heat generators from inside the base. But so theoretically, I think that this will work. We'll be able to just use an aqua tuner that is never going to go above the boiling point, and so we don't need a steam turbine. We'll see. It's a fun experiment anyway, to pass the time while I wait for our achievement to come through. We've also been working on clearing out up here. We're going to start building our gas facility up here at some point. So I've just been going through and digging out and sweeping up some of the debris. I'm just going to cut this all out and leave the abyssalite for now. We'll probably cut down through here and make a facility that's above this steam vent, because I want to put the oxygen production right above it, so that the water from here can just travel right to our oxygen production. The other thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to separate oxygen production into oxygen that's going to the base and oxygen that is going into the atmosuits, because I don't need to cool the oxygen going into the atmosuits, because it doesn't matter. So yes, a lot of things getting finished, but mostly just waiting for this achievement to tick away so we can really get started with what we want to do for the week. Let me check on it here before we... Yeah, so we got another 1,000 kilojoules out of that while we were going through the base. We're just going to let it run, and we'll come back and work on setting up the power station once we are able to use coal power. I made a couple of small but important changes. So I realized that I had a large body of water here that's at 30 degrees. So using water that's already up in the 80 degrees didn't make a whole lot of sense by itself. So what I did is, instead of having the water from here go priority into the electrolyzers, I have it coming here to a vent. The automation for this is that this vent is open if this is below 100 kilograms. I think that's just visually bugged. This is actually closed yet. Disable. This one is open if it's below 900. So right now it's going to drop water out of here before it drops water out of here, which is fine. This is almost empty anyway. So this pool has 30 degree water, and it's got 80 degree water dropping into it, and it's averaging out slowly. So for now, I have very cool water running through this pipe. So that means that that water So it comes in at 31, it goes out at 52. It's picking up a lot of heat out of this little box here, which meant I was able to lower this down to 22. Actually, we can go down to 21 degrees now without overheating this. So that also means that we're cooling the base off more, but we're also using that water to cool down our electrolyzers. So we can see it comes in here at 52. It's getting to our final electrolyzer at 62. The way electrolyzers work is that no matter what temperature the liquid goes in, if it's less than 70 degrees, 70 degree oxygen comes out. If it's over 70 degrees, over 70 degree oxygen comes out. So now that we're running water in that's just under 70 degrees, the oxygen coming out is cooler. So it's already cooler. It's coming down here. It's mixing, it's counter exchanging with the heat in here and pumping out at a cooler state. So we have cooling around the edge of the base that's helping to absorb some of the heat from the gas that's in here. We're pumping cooler gas in, and so this is going to cool off even more. It's also going to cool off this section, which we desperately needed to do, and it will be able to be sustained for much longer. The issue is that this water is almost gone. We need to have more cold, polluted water to keep this system going. So I am digging over here. I remember that there is a cool slush geyser. I think it's right down here, but it's somewhere in here. Well, there's a geyser there. What's this geyser? That's a carbon dioxide geyser. Nope, not what I want. So I think it's right about here. But so I'm digging over and just doing some lines across so I can see the map more, so I can see what's going on. I think I'm going to also come down here and dig a line across right here. Finally, the last thing I did is I wanted to continue working on digging our line down here into our oil biome, but I'm trying to vent all the water to this side so that I don't have water coming down on top of the entrance we're building. So I just built this little section here and then another ladder coming down on this side, so that if water comes down our main shaft as we're digging, which it will, it'll hit here and then it'll spill over to this side. I think I gotta make this a little bit higher just to make it enough so that we don't have to worry about it. And then we can continue digging on down without any liquids running down here, or not many anyway. So we're going to keep working on that. I want to get down into the oil biome so we can get some proper cooling. But we're also going to try to open up this cool slush geyser, and then once we do that, we'll pump up the cool slush water, dump it in here. We'll mix that with the water from this steam vent and probably this steam vent, and we'll have a ton of water to go into this electrolyzer system that is at a nice even temperature. We have made it. 240,000 kilojoules of power without using coal, natural gas, petrol, or wood generators, which means we now are wide open to do anything we want. So we look at our colony report. Our power usage, we look at yesterday's report, 1,400 kilojoules, 1,600 kilojoules, 1,800 kilojoules, 1,400 kilojoules. The average is right around 1,600. So if we look at our coal generators, we can produce 600 watts. So, unless I'm mistaken, that means we run 3 of those. We can replace the amount of power that our duplicants have been providing. Another way to look at it is these produce 400. since these produce 600. That's 1.5. So 2, 4, 5.5. I guess maybe I'm doing the math wrong, but what we're going to set up is a little automated power plant running 6 coal generators, more than we should need for right now. It'll give us the power we need to get things moving a lot faster, and then we can start tapping into these natural gas geysers that are around and start using natural gas until we get into petroleum-based power. I just noticed a problem that I've had for a while that I didn't notice. When we brought in our last 5 duplicants, they left them on the default schedule, so I didn't have them on any of my custom ones, which meant that I had 5 duplicants running on a 2 downtime schedule. And also it overlapped with schedule 1, so really we had 10, well, I think there was 4 on here, so 9 duplicants running on schedule 1 basically, but 5 of them only had half the downtime. So I kept having issues where they didn't have enough time to get to their food. So now I balanced them out across all the schedules, and it should be much, much better. I am working here to design what I want to do for our coal power plant. So the I want to have an auto sweeper that can supply coal to all the power plants inside of it. In order for an auto sweeper to supply coal to the coal generator, it needs to be able to reach to the middle tile right here. So from here, if I have it set up like this, it can do that. I'm going to have to get rid of this tile. I'm hoping to get 4 of these across the bottom that one auto sweeper can reach to. But I don't think it's going to reach to this one. So we may have to just stick with 3. So I'm just trying some different things, building it to see exactly what we can do with it. If we can only get 5 coal generators inside of a room, it'll be fine. It's not going to be the end of the world. But I'm just going to play around with it, get it figured out, and then we'll get it built. Yeah, see, that doesn't quite reach even without this. Let's see if I remove this block. I think that's all the way over, yeah, because that's even with here. So there's no way we can get it to reach all 4 across the bottom, because at maximum range it only goes to there. So that's going to be, that can't be done. I could definitely put another coal generator above. I'll move this back over 1. Yeah, anyway, I'll keep messing around with it, and I'll come up with a design I like, and we'll get this powered up so we can cut off the manual generators. And we're going to leave those in. We'll just set them at a lower priority than this. So basically this will be there in case we need to run some power if we don't have enough coal here, but that should never happen. I got everything set up here, I think, the way I want it. I'm going to put a lock in here, but I am trying to vacuum out the gases first. So there's automation coming down from the battery here. This one's set at 70-30. The manual generators are at 80-20, which means that this should fire on before these do, and it should shut the grid down before these ever come on. Should be working fine. I have coal that gets picked up out of our main storage and brought over here. It is shut down with automation that says if there's 200 kilograms or more of coal on this pressure plate, stop dropping in coal. Eventually we can put a conveyor, I forget what they're called, the conveyor unloader thing, but we don't have that unlocked yet. So the sweeper here can reach all of them, so it grabs coal off of here, feeds these as needed. So really duplicants never need to come in here. this gas pump just pulls out gas from in here and sends it out to our filters. I think I'm going to put this back in now. The idea is to have a vacuum in here. We'll have to put a pump in there to get it so that we can make sure no temperature gets out, but it's not super necessary. Frankly, we could probably seal this box off. I really don't think there's ever going to be a time where duplicates ever need to go in there unless it overheats. But we'll leave this liquid lock on it for that. So now this is powering our base. It's keeping our batteries nice and full. Our manual generator should never have to go on. The other thing I changed is I rerouted our gases. So this middle pipe is the one that goes to our Atmos suits. There's a little U-shaped connector here. So basically, if these pipes are full, all three of these lines put gas into this pipe, and then it goes back out to whichever one's empty. So it'll balance out and keep all three lines full. The lines on the outside go all the way around the outside of the base. They drop off gas here in the middle, and then they go to the edges and they drop off gas in the corners. That means that gas is coming in here right now at 45 degrees. It's coming out at 36 because it's going through that counter exchange with all of this coolant, which is at 10 degrees. You can see the heat up here is dissipating a lot too, but this water is starting to heat back up because we don't have a source of cold water going into it. So we really do need to work out where this cool slush geyser is down here and work on that next. It's right in here. We'll find it. That might be it right there. Is that it? Yep, that's the one. Okay, so I was right on target the first time I went in. That's pretty cool. So we'll get in there. We'll get this set up with a pump to pump the liquid up and drop it off into here, and it'll keep this system running forever. It'll be nice and cool. It'll cool off the base. You can see we're already seeing big drops in temperature inside of our base. We're not even in the red in some of the spots. It's cooling off a lot. So we'll have to dial in our numbers and make it so that those temperatures are exactly where we want them. But now we have a coal-powered base, so our duplicates are free to do work instead of running on the hamster wheels. We'll probably redesign this because I do want to have a spot for them to go to in case the power goes off. But I want to use it as a duplicant gym, so that'll be another episode down the road. We don't need to worry about it for quite a while. Not until we start bringing in more duplicates. So we have dug all the way down here to almost the oil biome. The oil biome is right past this radiation biome, the nuclear biome. So we're going to just keep digging this pipe down, and then I'm going to work on getting all the fluids that I didn't catch, mostly the ones that are in here, out before I break into the oil biome. But the next thing we're going to work on after we get down here is getting into the oil biome and getting into the steel age. So we want steel and plastic so that we can start doing proper coolant and all that. But we're definitely making progress. I still want to finish off this section up here, the gas storage, so I can move this out. But we're doing exactly what I'm hoping to be doing. So let me finish tidying up a few things in here, and I'm going to check to see what the time is on the episode. May do a couple little more things, but we're pretty much close to the end of the episode here. But I'll be back shortly. Our coal plant is done. I think I have worked out all the kinks of what I want to change in it. A couple little cleanup things left to do, but I will go over it real quick. It's connected to our main grid through this line here. We have 5 coal plants that each produce 600 watts, so we're producing 3 kilowatts at peak output. The automation to turn it on and off is run up to this battery here, This priority is set 70-30, which means it'll kick on before these other batteries, which go to the manual generators. As far as the coal supply, we've been dropping off all of our coal from our hatches in here for forever. So we have a ton of it. It gets loaded here. It goes through our loader down here to a conveyor chute, which then drops it down here on the floor. There's a pressure plate that says if there is less than 200 kilograms of coal, then send me more coal. Otherwise, it just sits there in the line. This auto sweeper can grab that coal, and it can fill up all 5 of these coal generators without duplicants ever coming in here. So this will keep them topped off so that this never sends out a call for duplicants to get coal down here. So this is going to power our base for forever. This has carbon dioxide pumping out into it, so I have a gas pump here. It sends that carbon dioxide for now right up into our gas filter, which drops it off in our carbon dioxide storage. So I think it has everything I want in it. I do want to just put in a pump to vacuum out this little section here, just to make sure we don't have heat transfer, but I don't think it's necessary. This is never going to get very hot. So we'll probably do it anyway, just to be complete, finish this off a little bit. The other thing we did is we did some change to the way our oxygen is dropped off into our base. So before we came right down the middle, and then we just dispersed it at the bottom. I changed the 3 lines here so the left and the right go through these radiant gas pipes. They come down all the way around, and then they drop oxygen off here in the middle and then out at the edge as well, which means that any carbon dioxide that builds up down here is getting slowly deleted, which is great. Then in the middle, I put in these gas bridges. So the way the priorities work is if gas can't flow through the bridges, it gets dropped off into this little section that connects all 3 of the bridges together. So anytime one of these gas pipes gets full, gas passes on into this section here. Anytime one of them has a spot where there's not enough gas in it, the gas goes back out through the bridge from in here and fills it up. So all 3 of these lines will stay completely full at all times. There should never be a gap, no matter what, unless we run out of oxygen coming in. It means that sometimes these use more oxygen than one line can supply. That means it'll be diverted from the excess and run down through here. But so that seems to be working great. Because of the radiant gas pipes going all the way around the edges, where we have this very cool coolant line going through, they're doing some counter exchange of heat, and it's dropping off the heat from the oxygen back into this polluted water. So what we're end up with is we have gas coming from here. It's coming in at 48 degrees. When it comes out, it's at 46. Here's at 38. If it gets all the way down here, it's at 44. So we're getting a nice drop in temperature for our oxygen. And then also the coolant is drawing heat out of the air that's in here. So we're hitting it both ways. And you can see we're already dropping temperatures into the yellows inside of here. And again, once I pull out all this heat making stuff and put it into other parts of the base, it'll be even better. So that being said, we now have a completely coal-powered base. Duplicants don't need to run on generators, and so they can go around and do a lot more. The current thing I'm working on as far as that goes is that we've run out of cold water here to pump into the system, and so it is slowly heating itself back up. So did find our coal slush geyser. It's right here. We're going to have to dig through here, get it open, set up a pump similar to the one up here on the cool steam vent, except that it's going to be pumping cold polluted water into this tank, and then that's going to get mixed in with the hot water in this tank, keeping the temperature even where we need it to be. So that's a project for the next episode, And getting down here into the oil biome where we're almost at is a project for the next episode, so that we can start expanding into the mid-game. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and leave me some comments, feedback. It would be greatly appreciated. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.